What's up, YouTubers? So before we get started with this video, on Get Up, they're going to be talking about in which league is it harder to win a championship, the NFL or the NBA. So let's see what they have to say about that.
We were talking about LeBron and Tom Brady, the two legends, the two icons. I mean, the two Mount Rushmore players in their respective sports still doing it at these ages. And wondering, as you see Brady still kind of cruising and being healthy and LeBron dealing with a significant injury. The question is this, and Kendrick, as our new guest, I give you the first crack at this. Who wins more championships the rest of their career? LeBron James or Tom Brady?
So I think at this point I have to say Tom Brady, because Tom Brady has 7 rings, LeBron James has 4 rings, and Tom Brady has excellent opportunity to win another championship. Now, LeBron James' championship hopes are kind of diminishing this year because of injuries and very strong competition, a la the Brooklyn Nets. But I'd have to say overall, Tom Brady's probably going to end up with more championship rings than LeBron James. LeBron James, at the very least, would have to win 3 more rings to be able to tie Tom Brady, let alone surpass him. So I think Tom Brady's safe in the ring department.
Well, first of all, Greeny, I like how y'all tried to set me up with Ryan Clark and Dan and yourself, all right? And I see the mean bugs, and I was born, but I wasn't born yesterday, okay? Tom Brady is going to finish with the most championships, okay? LeBron James would not catch him. I'll say that, all right? But let me say this, and I may ruffle some feathers in the football world, okay? My brothers might get upset at this comment. I'm not taking for granted in no sport at no level that it's easy to win a championship, okay? But it's way harder to win a championship in the NBA than it is in the NFL,
Oh my
okay?
God.
Kendrick Perkins is absolutely sick. There's no way that it's harder to win a basketball championship than it is in football. In basketball, you have a series. You have the best of 7. So where you can have an off night, you can have 2 off nights and still come back and win the series. You can't do that in the NFL. In the NFL, you only get one shot, one game a weekend to be able to do that. You either bring your A game, you have 100% execution, win, or you're going home. There's no series in football. So to say that the NBA is easier or harder to win a championship than the NFL was absolutely crazy. Also, in the NFL, you have 2 sides of the ball, offense and defense. If even just one guy on one side of the ball is having an off night, that can lose you the game, and that's it. You're going home. In the NBA, you have 5 guys running up and down the court, and one guy could dominate and take care of business on offense and defense and be able to run the whole show. You can't do that in football.
You might get a first-round bye.
What?
And then you have to win 3 games
That's not
to
the
secure
question.
a championship. In the NBA, you got to play 4
I'm gonna
7
kill this,
game
Perk.
series, and you got to win 16 games to secure a ring in the NBA. So I know I may ruffle some feathers, but that's what y'all brought me on for this morning. I want all the smoke.
I'm gonna kill this, Perk. You know what? I'm actually happy with this topic. That wasn't what I asked. It isn't to the question. But I'm
Right.
more than happy to hear Ryan
That's what he
Clark's
asked.
take on it as a man with a Super Bowl ring. RC, what is your reaction? Do you believe it is harder to win an NBA championship than it is to win a Super Bowl?
No, Kendrick is out of his mind. The best team always wins the championship in basketball. That's why they play 7 games, right? So when you're playing football, it's one day, right? You have to be the better team that day for 60
Exactly.
minutes. It doesn't matter what you've done all season. If something goes wrong early, if somebody is banged up, then you're out of there, right? You can't have a team with Deladova and get to the championship in football. That's not the way that it works. You have to show up. You have to show up because he was on LeBron's team. You have to show up every single day in the playoffs and play 60 minutes and win. When you look at the NBA championships, there are so many times when the playoffs start, we can call it. These will be the 2 teams in the championships. These will be the 2 teams in the finals. Wild card teams get to the Super Bowl in NFL. Wild card teams, number 8 seeds, 7 seeds, 6 seeds, they don't get to the championship in the NBA.
A perfect example of that would be the New York Giants and how Eli Manning led his squad all the way up to the Super Bowl and beat Tom Brady and New England Patriots. He beat the GOAT, not once, but twice.
Because you know what y'all do? Y'all say we're going to play it out really long and we're going to make it 7 games. So if LeBron James is a little off, we can still have him in the championship so we can have ratings. That don't happen. Tom Brady ain't making it all the time, even though he made it 9 of them, right? Aaron Rodgers ain't making it all the time. He's only been once.
Exactly. If you have an off night, that's it. You're going home. It doesn't matter how good you are. If you have an off night, you could be the greatest team. If you're off night and you have the worst team, an absolute trash team. If it's just their night, they play good and execute well, perfect. It's not like that in the NBA. In the NBA, you could have off nights. You can have two off nights, like I said before, and you can still come back and win a series best of 7. But it's not like that in the NFL.
But when you look at the LeBrons and the Stephs and the KDs, we see them all the time because of that setup, Perk. Don't you ever in your life say it's harder to win an NBA championship than a Super Bowl.
And Ryan, listen, let me tell you why you're 100% wrong, okay? When you're in the 7-game series and you have to beat a team 4 times out of 7, guess what ends up happening? It's harder because teams make adjustments. So you have to see a team by the second.
Yeah, but you can make adjustments in a game in a game of for best of 7. You can't make an adjustment in football when you only have one opportunity. You only have one chance. You can make in-game adjustments, but pretty much by the time we're doing all that, you probably are going to lose that game. You don't have an opportunity to come back. Well, we'll come back next week and make adjustments so we can beat this team. No, you only get one shot. It's not like that in the NBA. You have the best of 7 to where you can make those adjustments. So Perkins is telling on himself right there.
Just say a series goes 7 games. By the time you get to that 7th game, every player, every opponent, every coach knows everybody's tendencies, and you still have to battle through where they're forcing you to your weaknesses. So I get what you're saying, and, you could play 60 minutes, but imagine having to win 4 games out of 7. 4 games, beating the team 4 times out of 7. Way harder than winning one game. And Dan, I know you got a lot the scowl on your face. You got your Miami South Beach look going on. Miami fight. Go ahead and do what you do. Do what you do.
Go ahead, Orlovsky. Let me hear from you.
You act like both teams can't make adjustments. Like in that series, only one team can find the other team's weakness, or only one team can make adjustments. Both teams are going to do it and can do it and will do it. Second of all, your league doesn't have salary cap restrictions. You guys can spend a gajillion bucks and just have to worry about a luxury tax or whatever. The NFL's got salary cap restrictions. Third of all, there's 11 dudes on the field. Like, you're more dependent on other people to do their jobs. You're more at
exactly
risk for failure if that other person doesn't do their job. RC's dead right. You guys have a greater variance for failure. You have a greater variance for being off. Tom Brady has had to be on. Once he's gotten in, he's never been afforded or rarely afforded the opportunity to be off. Therefore, it's not.
Exactly. And a lot of people hate on Tom Brady and say he played in the easy division when he was with the New England Patriots. But that might be so. He may have played in the easy division and it may have been a cakewalk to get to the playoffs. But once he was in the playoffs, he took care of business against prime teams. He took care of business against elite teams. So that erased the whole over. It was a cakewalk to get to the playoffs. Because when he had to take care of business, he did take care of business. And he's still taking care of business.
Even in the same conversation of how hard it is to win a Super Bowl in comparison to an NBA.
Let me give Perk the final word. He's good enough to jump in here and completely change the subject. Go ahead, Kendrick Perkins, final word.
Okay, well, since you brought up that point, Dan, this is what I'm going to tell you. All right, when you look at LeBron James, and you just compared him to Tom Brady, right? And you said every time he get there, he deliver. And that might be true, all right? But Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowls. He have 5 MVPs, all right? So that means that goes to show me that when he got there, he didn't finish his food. LeBron James has 4 championships. He has 4 final MVPs. So
who cares about that? As long as you win a championship, that's the only thing that matters. Winning a championship MVP is nothing but icing on cake. As long as you win a championship, no one cares about anything else other than that. Perkins is dumb.
He's leaving nothing on the table. Every time he won, he's capitalized.
He's left it on the table 6 times.